Okay, YouTubers and space detectives, I've got another game of Interplanetary I Spy for all you armchair astronauts out there. And I've got a couple of things to show you today. I've got another statue, or at least what looks like one, with a possible another one right next to it. And I've also got this up here, which looks like an insect. Right, I'll quickly show you this insect first, because this is a nice quick one, and then we'll look at the other things, and in a bit more detail as well. And I've got them up in my graphics process here. This is an interesting one. This is an old set of images from Sol 1501. I've been going through all the images around 15 to 1600 and 1400 to 1500. Loads of stuff to see. And this is a good example. And we have here a load of debris and weird fragments of rock, which look like concrete. Some of it looks like petrified wood. And there's loads of weird little things in between some of these rocks, as we often see on Mars, especially in Gale Crater. Here's the insect just here. There, this is the actual image, which has been color enhanced slightly. Here it is, just here, with wings or appendages. Now, this may not be an insect. It may be something else. It may be some kind of waterborne creature. It could be some kind of shrimp or some kind of weird crustacean that's fossilized. There's another one here which is different, like a worm or some kind of thing that seems to have legs coming out. These may be sort of crinoid type fossils or something. This one here maybe. Who knows? There's another weird thing here, just here. Now, obviously a lot of this stuff is just weird mineral deposits that have kind of eroded away, leaving some of the harder materials behind. Some of the more metallic substances tend to get left behind when the softer shale or hardened clay erodes away. Okay, but this looks like, to me, some kind of creature. It has a head here. We've got these appendages either side, which are kind of symmetrical almost, which look a bit like wings or something, or legs or something, and an abdomen coming round like this, a bit like a scorpion or a little shrimp or something. Who knows what it is? I have no idea. It doesn't look like anything on Earth. Let me show you the raw clip here. Here's the raw clip. This is completely raw. It's quite clear. It's got a dark shadow around it, so it stands out really well. And you can see that one there. Okay. And here's the enhanced clip up here. It's a bit larger. Let's go in really close. You can see what look like 4 eyes or something there. And these kind of weird appendages or limbs or whatever they are, and a sort of abdomen coming round here, and almost like a sting or kind of point to it at the end. So that looks to me like some kind of fossilized crustacean or insect or something along those parameters. Okay, and so does this here. There's like a head at this end, a limb there, another one here, not very clear. So a limb there. So weird. Now, there's also some other weird stuff in here. There's up on this one here, we got this weird object stuck to the side of this rock. And a lot of these rocks in the area have got these weird light yellow coloured deposits on them. Now, on some of them it looks more like tin or gold. It's quite shiny. But on others it's more of a sort of deep orangey kind of yellow colour and looks more like fungus. So I think there's what we may be seeing on some of these wannabe rocks here, which I think a lot of which are petrified wood. What we're seeing on a lot of these things may be a type of fungus, and it comes in sort of different varieties, and sometimes it's a darker, more orangey colour, and sometimes it's a more pale yellowy colour. Okay, now these have been colour corrected. Gently colour corrected with sunlight, simulated sunlight to simulate the sunlight on Earth. Okay, so that's probably fairly close to the actual colour. In reality, it's probably more yellow, not as pale as that. But we got this weird lever thing here. I have no idea what it is. Is it some kind of tool or bone? It might be a bone, but it's got this rock kind of stuck to the edge of it. This could be a bone. So leave a comment below if you know what that is, or if you have an idea what it's shaped like, because it does look like something sticking out there. And these are all marked on here, so you can check them out. But there was one other thing here which is really cool, and it looks like a creature. Now here's some more of this yellow stuff here. which is the lighter variety. There are much darker varieties. There's some more over here, look. And on some rocks, it goes all along one side. On other rocks, you get patches of it, which look like mushrooms or fungi. So I'll come back to that later. But then we have this thing sticking up, which I initially thought that was a bit like a meerkat, but actually when you look at it, it's not. It's got some weird sort of arms sticking down here. If I go back and use the magnifier, there's a head, neck and body. It's got weird sort of nodules on it, and it's got this kind of limb or kind of thing sticking down here in a straight line with a part coming off it here, which then curls around like this. Very strange indeed. Okay, I don't know what it is. It may be another piece of eroded concrete with some metal rebar in it. These may be metal parts. As I've shown in this area before, there's loads of weird sort of bits of concrete eroded away, and the reinforced steel bars or whatever they were using, some kind of metal, often pokes out of this stuff, and we see these weird things sticking out, like they look a bit like bones or frameworks, parts of frames and long bars and things like this, often sticking out of the ground or out of these so-called rocks, a lot of which are actually concrete, as I have shown before. So who knows? It looks a bit like an animal because it's got a head and a body, but this thing coming down, to me, looks technical. This looks like some kind of wreckage or something. This is kind of eroded in a sort of animal shape, perhaps. So I'm not sure about that. There's the raw clip there. Pretty clear, even in the raw clip. You can see that thing coming down here, which looks like a bit like a hairpin type shape. It's weird. Like a clip, or like a metal clip, or a piece of metal, or who knows? Who knows what that is? So in this one, we got that meerkat looking thing. We've got the possible shrimp or insect fossil with another one next to it, and loads of other weird fragments in here. And this thing here is weird. This is super weird. This object looks like it's broken off of something, and it's got right angles all over it. It's right angles here, 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 and up here. And then at the end, we have this thing coming round with a beak in a sort of animal shape, like a little duck or a little bird. Very, very strange indeed. It's got what looks like an eye here, and a head coming round, and a beak shape there. And it's kind of attached to this, which is a technical shape. We've got a straight piece coming across here, and we've got straight pieces coming down and across. So this looks like it's broken off some kind of box or something. Who knows? And this was attached to it. Very, very strange indeed. I really don't know what to make of it. And there's loads of weird little tiny details in here. There's that lever thing, and the meerkat weird sort of thing, animal thing. It's just here, sticking up, just there. You can see it quite clearly, and this is lighter on here, so you can see it pretty well. When you zoom, it doesn't look great because it's quite a long way off, and it's very small. It's only a few inches. This may only be 5 inches or 4 inches, possibly less. So these things are tiny. There's that arm thing coming down, straight thing coming down, and the thing coming down with a bit curling around on the end. Very strange. You can check that out. There will be a link below near the top of the description, Sol 1501, okay? But the main thing I wanted to show you today was this. Now, this is the latest from Sol 184 from the Perseverance rover. And this is mass left and mass right. The mass left is this one at the top, and mass right is this one at the bottom. And they're both enhanced a little bit. They've been colour corrected, so they've gone a bit bluer, which makes them easier to look at. But I will show you raw images of these as well. Okay, and we have here a statue head. Now that looks just like a rock, doesn't it, when you first look at it? But when you look at it more carefully, we have a head coming around here. This is the hair, this dark patch. The chin is here. This is the nose, and you can see a mouth there, and you can just about make out an eye. And on the other one isn't actually as clear in some ways, but you can see the eye better there. You can see the nose and the mouth, bottom lip there, edge of the face here, chin coming round, and this is afro hair. Okay, This isn't blonde hair, it isn't sort of brown hair. This looks like Afro hair. And funny enough, I have found other statues on Mars which have what looks like Afro hair, which I think is fascinating. And what I've been doing is checking out different hairstyles to match up with this. I'll show you some of that in a minute. But first of all, I'll show you these in here because these make a lot more sense when you see the enhanced version. Now this is completely raw at the bottom here. These two here, left and right, these two have been enhanced. Now these were difficult to enhance. A, because the images are very bright, and B, it's in shadow as well. And the only real part of the face that's not in shadow is the edge here where you see these highlights, where you can see the lips and the nose and the left eye there. The eye on the left, and slightly clearer in one. On this one, I think it's slightly clearer. But just to show that this is real, what I've done is I've selected round these two at the bottom here, which are raw. These haven't been enhanced in any way. These are clips straight from the Gigapan images. Okay, the raw images. This is how they look. They're very pasty, and they're very overexposed, I would say. And the shadows are almost kind of bleached out. So what you have to do is add contrast and darkness, like this, minus 25 brightness and plus 25 contrast. That's my standard setting for this kind of thing. And then those details come out, okay? And if you do that a couple of times, this is what you will get. You will get something very similar to what I've got here. Okay, now you can see, let's undo that. Look at this one on the left. You can see the mouth there. That's the nose. The eye is almost invisible at this level of contrast. But as soon as you add that in, you can see an eye there. And now you can see the nose coming out and the mouth comes to here. And on this one, you can see the mouth. The eye's darker on this one, the right one. You can see it there. Just there. Very pale. And if you get too close, it doesn't actually get any better. You've got to stand back a bit. Let's go darker again. This time let's go minus 10. And then that will bring it out even more. There we are. And now you can start to see how I get to this up here. But of course, I also color corrected it as well. So color correction, automatic color balance, and add some blues back in. This makes it more like it was taken on Earth without the orange filter that NASA use. It makes it bluer. So now we're getting similar to the ones at the top. So that's how I do it. That's all I do. And if you play with the contrast enough and you're really careful with it, you can start to drag out some of these finer details. Okay? So I'm just proving there that I'm not making this up. This stuff is there. And it's definitely there. You can disagree with that if you like, but it doesn't stop it from being there. Okay? The one on the left, I think, is slightly clearer in some aspects, and so is the one on the right, depending on what part you're looking at. But basically, this is the chin and jaw. It's the edge of the face. Hair sticking up here. Comes to here. Unfortunately, we have a rock in front there, but it kind of frames it quite well. This, I think, is an ear. Here we have a nose. Upper lip. Shadow underneath the bottom lip. Here's the bottom lip. It comes around like that. Mouth like that. A vague eye. It's in heavy shadow, but you can see it. It's there. Okay? And there's the other one. Right? And the hairline comes around like that. Okay? Let's do it on this one. Now, this one's slightly different, but that's what you would expect because this is taken from the right camera. This one's the left. So there will be very slight differences in the shadows, but the general details are the same, obviously, and the shape and everything. But the shape is slightly more longer from this angle. And we can't see the left eye as well because we're using the right camera. So the left eye looks smaller on this one, but the right eye is darker. And you can actually see more in there. There's the left eye. Nose, mouth. There's the nose and the lip detail here. chin coming up there. You can't see the ear very well on this one, but it's there. And the hair is more blurry. There is, on this one, there's kind of a highlight just there. And you can see the hairline is sort of, there's some detail there, but this is very smudgy on this one for some reason. But there is similar detail there coming around. And you can see that this is not a headdress. At least I don't think it is, because we have detail here coming to here, okay? And it matches up the detail on here. You can see that this bit here is in front, just here, and that's behind. This is hair detail, okay? Afro hair detail. At least I think it is. It's very dark, and I've been looking at some of this stuff on Google Images and looking at some of the examples of different hairstyles. So I've been doing a bit of what you might call fringe science, okay? For want of a better term. There's the ear. So there we have it. I mean, it's a head, and it's African, even though it's on Mars. It was not the first one that's African on Mars. There have been others, 2 or 3 at least, maybe 4, and a lot of them look kind of Olmec on Mars, and a lot of people think the Olmecs may have been related to the Africans on Earth, of course. That may be true, and they do have very African-looking features, some of them. So that may be a fact. But this really does look African, okay? Not only in colour, but in detail, which I think is fascinating, absolutely fascinating. You can see that nose there, and the sort of mouth open, and the lower lip detail there, okay? There's the eye. Cheekbone coming around like that. Quite pronounced cheekbone on this one. It's more pronounced on that one because the light is from a slightly different angle because it's a different camera. So there we are. It's a statue with an afro. You could probably find one that's more like the one I just showed on Mars. It's probably a bit wider, comes out a bit wider. But there are so many variations of these sort of haircuts. You could spend all day staring at them and never find one exactly the same. But you would find something similar, okay? It's like a sort of a long sort of afro, but it's kind of cropped at the sides. It's sort of sticking up. And this is one I found ages ago. But this is a different type of what seems to be afro hair. And this is very, very eroded. This is a close-up of one that I found, 2019, a couple of years ago. If I go back, it doesn't look very clear when you go in too close. You've got to look at it from further back like this. Let's get rid of that. Okay. Now you can see it. There, you wouldn't know that's what it was until you brighten it up. It's very dark, this one. Very dark brown. And when you brighten it up, you've got these what look like dreads here. There's an eye here, nose and teeth and a chin. So that's what it looks like. It may not be, but that's what it looks like. And there are loads and loads of heads in this area, statues and all sorts. I mean, I found probably about 200 now, and some of them look Egyptian, some of them look Olmec, some of them look African, some of them look Asian, some of them look like alien greys, some of them look like reptilians. There are all sorts. Some of them look more like gargoyles, like bears or something like that, like the Egyptian little bear, kind of dwarf bear, kind of demigod. Some look like humans, some look like proto-humans. There's lots of ape statues as well, and like gorillas and other types of or what I would call proto-humans, which are like almost Neanderthal-looking. Some are great big ogre-looking, huge, great big heads, which are massive, and the people that own them must have been somewhere between 12 and 20 feet tall. But most of them are quite small. This is kind of human-sized, this one. This one on Mars is large. I'd say this is about 2 feet in height. If you look really carefully on this left one, which is slightly clearer for some reason, you've got just here a head, nose, cheek, eyebrow, big bulbous eye, and another big bulbous eye just there. So this represents, that's the nose there. This represents another statue. And it's actually attached to this one by the looks of it. Or at least leaning against it. Because we got the back of this one comes to there, like that. And it's kind of joined, it looks. Very interesting. So this also may be something like a hand on here. Okay. Who knows? Let's have a look at this one. Let's see if it's any better in this one. This one's a bit darker. You can see an eye here. And here. Eyebrows. Long nose, shadow. Cheek. Long, elongated features. But most of it's obscured by this one, which is in front, and then this thing here. It's there, you can see it. Once you've seen it, we've got a hand, possible hand, one there, a statue there, looking this way, right? This one is looking this way, and we have what looks like a bird, the beak just there, and an eye just there. Let's do that again. Eye just there. And the head coming around like this, and the neck like this. Now, what are the chances of that, I ask you? I mean, on Earth, it's generally blokes that tend to have this kind of style of afro, but not necessarily. I mean, Grace Jones had a sort of similar kind of cropped sort of haircut back in the 80s, I think. So, who knows? Very cool. So we've got a bird, a possible hand, we've got a statue here, and a statue with an afro, and you can see the fringe there, okay? There's the fringe. Not quite as clear on this one. It's a bit less clear on this one, for some reason. This one's a bit darker. I enhanced these exactly at the same time, so they've had the same stuff applied to them, like I did earlier with those two. So, a very complex set of things going on here, and very interesting. And I really hope we get some close-ups of this. And the rover gets a bit closer, or at least zooms into it a bit, because this is amazing. Absolutely amazing stuff. It throws up some very interesting questions about Mars, not only about their origins, but also about ours, and whether they are connected. Because it's looking increasingly like they were. Because these similarities are this is human. Perfectly human, I would say. This one of the best examples of a human statue so far on Mars in many, many years. I must have found about 200 statues and heads so far. Some of them are actual heads from burials, but a lot of them are actual carved heads or sculptures, or perhaps they were made from clay, sculpted in clay rather than carved. So we could have a mixture of stuff going on here. And some of them are coloured as well. In other words, they're coloured in. The rocks may have been painted or dyed to look a certain colour, because some of them are quite blue, some of them are quite brown, so we've got all sorts of different colours. A lot of them have quite clear eyes, some of them have got blue eyes, some of them have got brown eyes, just like us. So a lot of them are human, but a lot of them aren't. So a lot of them are what I would call proto-human, and a lot of them are what I would call reptilian or alien looking. In other words, not like us. From, say, like the alien greys or something like that. And there's many, many variations with loads of gargoyle types as well, of not only remains but also gargoyle statues all over the place, okay? Hundreds of them I found altogether, and even things like cats and dogs and sphinxes and all sorts of animals like apes and stuff as well. So there we are, there it is. In fact, when the brighter one looks better. This one on the left, when it's brighter, got a bit closer for you. Let's go back to the dark. As it goes dark, you can see these shadows around the cheek here. Okay. There. That kind of pops out when it's darker. When you go brighter, you can see the lip detail pop out more. Okay. Look at this bottom lip here. And here. As you go brighter, that pops out because it's catching the sunlight. Okay, so this may be made of bronze. This may not be rock at all. It's very reflective. Even in the raw images here, we've got a real reflective area on the side of the face where the sun's hitting it, like this. The sun's hitting it from this angle, right? And they've got the edge of the nose and the mouth and lip detail here and the cheek, which is very bright. Okay, so that may indicate this is made of bronze, a bit like one or two of the others I've found, which look at it kind of Egyptian, a lot of them. They've got quite shiny features when you enhance it, which kind of looks like bronze rather than stone or clay, hardened clay. So this may be an example of another bronze, because this is extremely good stuff. This is a high art. This isn't just some statue that some kids thrown together out of some clay and then made a sort of blob-shaped face with a couple of eyes stuck on. This is high art. This is on par with what you would see from ancient Egypt. Okay? It's high art. This is high art. There's nothing crude about this one. This is really advanced art, like we're seeing here in Egypt. High-end stuff. And they were doing this level of art way before anyone else was, before the Greeks, before the Romans. And like the Babylonians were, they had a very, very advanced system of art and sculpture and writing and everything else. And that's what we're seeing on Mars here, okay? That's what this is. This is high art, okay? This is quite amazing stuff, like you would see in Egypt or in Central or South America. Some of the ancient cultures there. This is high art. And even in these, you can see that. Once you've seen it, you can see that eye there. You can see the nose, you can see those lips and the highlight there. So who knows, it could be bronze. And now, once you've seen it, you can see that bird there. And you can see this one here with the two eyes. So thanks for watching, everybody. I will see you soon.
Thank you.